Did you know that less than 1% of authors actually see their book on a bookshelf? It is time to turn paper into profit. Let's talk about it. Hello and welcome to the Book Banker podcast. I am Aaron, the publisher. You're probably wondering, what in the world is a book banker? Well, a book banker is not a person. It's a method. It's a mindset. It's a way of thinking. It's the type of thinking that gets you paid. Let's look at one thing when we talk about words. Words are not just for communication. Words are for creativity. Words are capital. Everything around us started with an idea, and ideas manifested become words spoken, and those words that hit the paper become laws, regulations, rules, guidance, guidelines, manuals, and those things that we now use to navigate through the world, whether it's a street sign that you're looking at or a direction or perhaps verbal words coming out of a GPS. Words make the world go around, and words are profitable. And it is on us to understand the value of those words, or we're not only just leaving words on the table, we're leaving money in the bank. When I was a little boy, my father, he used to talk to me about many things, but one of the things, or the most important and valuable lesson he gave me, was an indirect lesson. I don't even think he understood what he was asking me and how it would land with me and how it shows up in my life today. When I was young, I was sitting in the car with my dad, and he looked over at me and he said, "Son, can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "A penny for your thoughts." And I said, "A penny for my thoughts? What does that mean?" And so he began to explain to me that I must have been so serious or deep in thought that whatever it is that I was working on or thinking about or conjuring up at 7, 8, 9 years old, whatever the age was, right? It must have been serious because I was drifted off. Maybe he said something to me and I didn't answer, or perhaps he looked over and I was frowning, or whatever it was made him think that whatever was on my mind was worth money. Then I was insulted because I'm thinking, well, if it is worth money and it is worth something, why is only a penny what you offering me, right? How many of us don't realize that people would actually pay you for what you're thinking? And if you have published a book with a publisher, a self-publisher, not only is it time to fire your publisher and hire yourself, it's time to collect on the return on your investment, because they have literally been paying pennies for your thoughts. What do I mean by pennies for your thoughts? Did you know that if you sold millions and millions of copies of a book, and I'm just going to use $1 million as an example for the sake of the percentage. Or I'm going to give two examples. If you sold a work for $10 worth of profit, you walk away with 7 cents. If you sold a work for $1 million profit, you'd walk away with $70,000. Now, whether it's $70,000 or 7 cents, you need to understand that a percentage of a royalty is pennies on a dollar that you earn from your intellectual property. You're the one who came up with the great idea. You're the one who blood, sweat, and teared over every line, every chapter. Did these words come out right? How does this sound? How is this story landing? And you sat down with an editor. You hired an interior designer to lay it out, to typeset it. You did your book cover. You got a world-class cover. Your book is starting to move. It's starting to sell. You ordered 200 copies in advance. You got copies in your trunk. You're selling them in the grocery store. People online, your followers are growing up from 5 to 10 to 20, even 30,000 or more. And you've been selling books, and you've been at book signings. You've shown up and books were there. They had signs with your name on it and your face. Listen, I already did this, done that, got the t-shirt, so I know how this goes. But I also know what happens when all that stops and then the silence sets in. And then you probably imagine what's silence. If I'm selling books, if I'm going viral, if I have all of this material out, if people are coming to my shows or my live events and they're buying my books and they're telling me how great it is, if they're doing book clubs about my book, then, and I'm a best-selling author, then where's the silence? Well, let me tell you where the silence is. It's not in your audience, it's in your bank account. Breaking the silence in your bank account first starts with understanding one thing: your thoughts are worth more than pennies. When you don't understand your transformational value, you are not only robbing yourself of the next level of wealth that is hidden in the treasure of your words, you are also robbing yourself and your children and your children's children of the ability to pick up where you left off. I don't know one child who can go to your website or to go to your social media feed and find resources available to them to build their life. Your legacy is in the pages of your book, and it is time for you to own it, not someone else. When we look at the art of the 360 deal, we think of it and we think of perpetuity in a way that it makes us angry. And there are so many artists out there today that have written books, published books, wrote songs, sung songs, went on live tours, been in the Grammys, the Oscars, done all those great things. And they're in movies that are selling $1 billion at the box office, and they're clearing less than a portion of the earnings that are being generated from their name, image, and their likeness. Just because you're in the movie, I'm going to see it. Just because you wrote the book, I'm going to buy it. So why is it that the artists are starving? Why is there such a thing as a starving artist? What are they starving for? It can't be attention. Because if you're viral, if you're online, if people see you, if your book happens to be one of the 1% of the authors that made it on a bookshelf, then why are you starving? Could it be that you're definitely not starving for attention because you have all of that? You have the credibility in the streets. You have the name in the stores. Everyone knows you. You're viral moments, one after the other. But why are you struggling? Why are you not smiling? When it comes to your bank account, not only is it silent, not only has it gone dark, but it has been a lawful transfer with your express written consent. You have traded visibility for viability. You have decided that it was more important, perhaps, that someone sees you, knows you, that I wrote a book, it has my name on it, it makes me credible, it makes me an author. I am an author, but I have no authority. The time for you giving out your trade secrets for success to the highest bidder and receiving pennies for your thoughts are over. That's canceled, because now we're entering into a new day, a new time, a new era. We are in the transformational age, and this is the time when you have to step into this moment and understand 4 things. You are a transformative, intelligent, brilliant, creative genius. And it is time to wrap your mind around the idea that you are worth more than pennies. You are worth, and this isn't about money. Only people talk about money are people who don't have it. Those are people, when you start talking about money, people get mad. That's because they don't have it. And guess what? They'll never have it, because that's why they don't have it, because they don't want to talk about it. But today we're talking about it. We're talking about the money that it costs you to lean in and to expand or to increase, to multiply, to accelerate. That doesn't cost anything. How much does it cost you to pay attention? Well, that's how much it costs to experience increase, acceleration, and multiplication in your life and in your bank account. The time is over for you to sit down with a publisher, whether it's a self-publisher, whether it's a traditional or a vanity press publisher. And if you don't know the difference, I have multiple library of books that can tell you what they are and my experiences. As a matter of fact, let's put a pen right here and let me tell you about some experiences I've had. Let me tell you about some stories. Have you been in a webinar or a live event and they're talking about writing books or coaching programs? And one of the things that you'll find in common is they tell you about the power of storytelling. But let me go a little further about storytelling and tell you why there's transformational value in your story and equity in your books. A great story is good because a short note beats a long memory, number 1. But number 2, it's good for multiple reasons. It creates equity in your work. Your work is not just for communication. It's for creativity. There's a difference between talking and speaking. And some of us simply talk too much. We have people talking about us. We have our name in lights. We have our name on books, and there's talking. There's a lot of chatter going on. People entering the chat, jumping in the comments. They're liking they're sharing us. They're hearting us. They're edifying us. They're encouraging us. They're pumping us up and telling us how great we are. We're signing their books, and they're telling us how much their life has changed as a result of it. And we still work a 9 to 5. And we still can barely make over broke because we didn't understand the difference between a hobby and a holding. There's a difference between exploring your hobbies and inviting yourself to a level of higher level thinking where your hobbies become your holdings. Writing a book may be something you love to do. Maybe you love writing. Maybe you love putting together stories and compelling stories and putting thousands of dollars out there and receiving a royalty check for $2.55 every 6 months. Maybe you like that. Maybe you love at the end of the year when it's time to get a return on your, when it's time to file your taxes and you've earned $10,000 in royalties and that's taxed at the highest rate. Maybe you like that. You like being an author. Maybe you like walking away having cleared nothing as a result or getting a return on your investment for about 5 years, if that at all. And let me tell you about a story. How about there was a little boy named Aaron. He decided he wanted to write. He said, oh man, first of all, before I put it out there, before I write anything, I want to make sure I protect it, right? So I go to the copyright office and I file my copyrights and I submit my work. And all of a sudden I'm starting to get offers from publishers. And then I get this offer from a publisher in Pennsylvania and they offer to publish my work and they want to bring me in and meet with me. And I get so excited and I drive all the way, or I'm driven too. At the time I didn't even have a driver's license. I was riding the bus. Okay. But someone invested in me. Sometimes we need a sponsor to help us push us along the way, and I had that. And so someone invested in me and I drove all the way to Pennsylvania. It was about a 4-hour ride. And I get there, I'm sitting in front of the publisher at the publishing office and I'm so excited. I'm a young man. I'm excited. They've read my work. They want to publish my work. And then they sit down after going over the details of everything they're going to do for me. They're going to tell me how much it's going to cost me to do it. I'm like, hello? Where? Long story short, it's a long, detailed contract. It includes an offer of, in addition to the money I'm putting up front, which is more than $10,000. I'm not sure what the actual number is, but it was greater than $10,000 for a run. And this was before digital publishing. This was before self-publishing. This was before the place where we are now, where we can put things together electronically. So they would actually develop the manuscript and house it in a warehouse and stock it on a shelf and then ship it as people brought orders in, right? So the royalty return on it, I was investing close to $10,000 or $20,000 in this. Now the royalty return was 8, 10, and 12%. I think the first round of returns was about 8% and then 10% for the next 5,000 sales and then another cap. Whatever it capped at 10, it didn't go over 10%. If it went, I think 6,000 or more copies sold or 10,000 copies sold, I don't know. So anyway, that's called vanity press, right? And so you're giving me a traditional publishing deal without an agent. And so without having to pay an agent to bring the work to you, because you can't get a traditional publishing deal without an agent and they don't accept unsolicited manuscripts. So you have to retain an agent for thousands of dollars in hopes that they can negotiate getting you in the door. And then the agent gets paid again, because after your book is sold, then they get a percentage of that which you got from, they helped you get. So when you move past that space and you go into vanity press, you go into this room where you sit down with the publisher and then they tell you, give us all your hard work, all your education, all your experience, all your knowledge, and we're going to package it and sell it, and then we're going to give you pennies on the dollar. So in essence, they're giving me pennies for my thoughts. I thought my thoughts were worth millions. I thought my thoughts were worth more than that, certainly more than what you're offering me, sir. So that didn't work out. Fast forward the next story. Another publisher sends me an offer after I submit copyrights to the copyright office. I'm really good at doing this, right? Sending my copyrights. But somehow my name gets into this registry. I don't know if they're selling it, marketing it. I don't know how they're getting my information. But they're getting my information because it's inventory in an asset. My name and address is an asset in someone's company because they're making money selling it to whomever is bidding for it. And so now I have a deal where they're saying, oh no, you don't have to pay us anything up front. We'll actually send you $1 advance and then we will sell your book for you, bring it to market. So I was so excited. I was so excited about the opportunity. I don't have to put any money down. They're going to do everything for me. We're now in the digital age. They don't have to warehouse the book. Now the book is going to fly off the shelf because they're going to make it available to over 40,000 retailers. Watch, you wait and see. Took hundreds of pre-orders. I was super excited. They sent me a proof copy of the book. It was beautiful. I told everyone who would listen, if you had an ear, you heard me say, I wrote a book and you need to buy it. You need to have it. It needs to be in your hand. And it is coming out here to pre-order instructions. Pre-order your book today. And I promise you, your whole life will never be the same. The book comes out. I open the book. It is full of errors, typos, spacing errors, margin errors. I'm like, what in the world is this? I was so humiliated. I was so embarrassed. And then people started coming up to me, thanking me. Oh, you wrote it. Yes, I'm so proud of you. You wrote a great book. Listen, on line 5 here, I think you meant to say there, and it's a there. Oh, here is the where. It should be WHERE and not the wear like you wear clothes. Oh, here, right here. And I can go on and on and on with the typos, errors, and challenges and issues that book presented. But I had already collected the money and I had already delivered the product and it was a mess. Listen, let me tell you something. You are not the mistakes you made and you are not your worst project. You are not your worst day. I understand that you started out on a road that you thought was going to be white picket fence and a white, 2-car garage and a dog named Spot. But there's a lot that happens between once upon a time and happily ever after. And we don't all end up in the same place the same way. Right. And so while I was humiliated, while I was embarrassed, and I was like, and these people were so gracious. They didn't want their money back. They just were so proud of me. How many of us love to have people support us? But how humiliating is it when you know that the thing that you put in their hand isn't worth 2 cents? And as a return on your investment, which was nothing to begin with, you're getting pennies for your thoughts. But also the work you did is worth pennies because it's really not worth the paper that it's printed on because you didn't take the artistic time to lean into your work and to perfect your own work and to protect your image, your likeness, your brand, because I thought the book was my brand. I thought that when you saw my logo design, that you say how great it was, that was the end of the exchange. We are focused on on the wrong things. If we get to a place where we understand as authors, as self-publishers, as producers, as coaches, that if we did not do it right, we did not do it at all. We are not only setting ourselves up to fail, we are opening up the door and the pitfall for everyone that comes behind us to do the same thing. It is time to course correct. I am not just sharing this story with you because, first of all, it doesn't benefit me to share a humiliating story with you. It benefits you. What benefits me is if you find the transformational value in this story, if you see yourself in what I'm sharing with you, right? And so this is why storytelling is critically important. It's not that you have a story. Is that your story has somewhere to go. Your story is capital. Your story is equity in your experience, in your book, in your podcast, in your speech, in your delivery. We're not just telling stories just to be telling them because we're in love with the sound of our own voice. I'm sharing this with you because it is my hope that it will help you see yourself different, see yourself change, see yourself elevated, see that I too make mistakes, right? I too am a person who started out on one road thinking it was going to go one way and it ended up going another way. So we can pivot. And today we're pivoting because, like I said, less than 1% of authors actually see their book on a bookshelf. So why are you fighting for space on a bookshelf that wasn't meant for you? What if you could reimagine yourself not only as an author, but an authority and go from hobbies to holdings, but also from shelves to shares? What if you own shares in your company and when people bought into what you were selling, they became stakeholders and they own shares, rights to your work in a different way? See, this is the coaching model. This is the book banker methodology, right? It is to understand that there's a new class that we've been elevated to. We're no longer in the upper class or the middle class or the lower class. We are in a class of our own. We are reclassifying ourselves. We are taking our dominion and our authority back. And our dominion isn't going to stop at the domain. Yes, we have a domain name and we have a great logo and a wonderful website and even a few books with great covers. But that's not the end of who we are. We're not a brand. We're a business. And this is when things change for you. This is the moment I understood that my book was not a brand, it is a business. And when I walk outside, my business needs to represent who I am, my character, my integrity. Yes, there'll be some errors. Yes, there'll be some mistakes, but I'll be perfectly flawed. I won't be perfect, but I'll be perfectly flawed. I will not be my worst day, and I will not be the mistakes I make. I will be an open book, but it won't be the embarrassing, humiliating one like the one I published in about 20 years ago where I had this experience. And from that day, I have built my business around making sure that I own myself. I own the moments because I thought that all I had to do was copyright. I thought that all I had to do was get a publisher and get a great deal and then get it printed. But if you don't own the distribution, if you don't own the intellectual property as an asset, you don't own it, then you are the asset. If you don't go into writing your book as a business, you don't have an asset. You have a liability. You are opening up yourself to letting money, pages, as every page turn is money going out the door for you. You didn't know that your word was capital until today. And I'm glad you're here. This is why I made this podcast. This is why I came onto this platform, to take you literally by the hand into the diary of a madman who went through horrible publishing experiences and so that you wouldn't have to. This is why partnership is important. This is why you and I need to stay connected, and why you need to continue to follow me over the next series of episodes, because we're going somewhere. As I told you, there is a new class. It's called the Creative Capital class. In the Creative Capital class, it works both ways. It works this way in an educational setting where there's a knowledge transfer. I'm sharing knowledge with you. Listen, people pay for information, but knowledge is something you invest in. You don't pay for knowledge, you invest in it. You have to start seeing through your eyes, not with your eyes. Because with your eyes, all you see is yourself as an author with a book. But through your eyes, you see yourself as an authority in a space where you have dominion and a sphere of influence that you own. And you should not give that away willingly to someone else because you're too lazy to own the distribution of it. You didn't know. And I'm more than sure that you probably thought that if you owned the distribution of your work, that you had to actually be the distributor. You do not. You just have to own the system that does it. You are going to go away from being a consumer to a producer. How many people have you heard yelling and screaming, kicking and complaining that they've been selling books and they don't have a royalty, or they've been writing books and music and they don't have any royalties? And I wish I could I need to own my masters. I need my publishing rights. You could have had that from the beginning. At the time that your mind conceives a thought, provision lines up. Everything that you're thinking has provision associated with it. Did you know that? But we have been misinformed. We've been in a different class. We've been in a different set of rules. We've been following a different set of rules. We've been of a different mindset because we were in the wrong class. But in this new class, the Creative Capital class, we now not only understand that words are capital and words are not just for communication, they're for creativity. We understand that we are creative geniuses and there's a price to pay for it. It is time to move away from the traditional models, trying to get somebody to review your content, get a media blitz, get a marketing pack. You're charging, self-publishing companies are charging you for information, but they're not giving you knowledge. Knowledge is based on lived experiences, things that don't expire, things that don't disappear, things that don't go away. Information is updated within every 5 years. There's a life cycle to information. There is no cycle to knowledge. Me talking about it doesn't give you knowledge. Right? The knowledge has to be transferred. We need partnership. We need a relationship. And that's why I wrote my books. That's why I started my courses. That's why I started my programs. That's why I started my services. That's why I built a system. Because I wanted the people who come to me and to my agency to understand something. You are the transformative agent you've been waiting for. The days are gone for you to have to get a buy-in and lobby, someone to lobby on your behalf. Listen, I already had the heartbreak and the stories and the bad experiences. Guess why? So you wouldn't have to. You can learn from me and I can learn from you. But we first have to be honest with the fact that we don't know what we don't know. And that's why this is a great opportunity for us to pivot. This is the moment. This is the day. This is the time. Pennies on a dollar. No one's giving us pennies for our thoughts anymore. When your words come out on those pages, those words are for creativity. And over the next 11 sessions, I'm going to be walking you through the process of how to turn content into capital and then turn that capital into creative genius imports that you have available to you as a legacy in your pipeline. You own the supply chain system. You own the pipeline. You are the transformative, intelligent, brilliant, creative genius. There's transformation in your story. It's not just a testimony. It is not just a feel-good moment. It's not just a thrill. There is transformational value in it, and we're going to walk through how to get it out and how to put it on the page and how to make sure that it leads to conversion. You are intelligent. You're not just copywriting. You are opening up an understanding that you have an intellectual property as an asset, not a liability. No more settling for royalties. We're getting it all. I teach my authors how to earn 85% of what they earn now, more than the 15% that they were getting before, and to do it right now, not next month, not next year, right now. We are in a time of increase, acceleration, and multiplication. And I believe that if I could show you how to increase your revenue as an author and how to go from an author to an authority and from an authority to an entrepreneur, if that would be something you'd be interested in, then that's something I want to talk to you about, because there is a sheer brilliance living on the inside of you. I even tell liars, you're giving your trade secrets away for free. Why are you lying? What does it profit you to lie to me? I'm not paying you for this lie, but if you put it in a book and sold it, it would be called a fiction book and many people would buy it. See, we have missed the opportunity and left money on the table because we'd rather be paid in attention. We'd rather be paid in visibility than to be filling up our bank account with resources that can put us in a position where we can begin to duplicate the same things in other people, right? And so it is time out for walking away and allowing our brilliance to not shine like the geniuses that we are. You are a creative genius, and creative geniuses have a system, and that system understands that words are seed. Did you know that the word comes from sperma, and sperma means life or spirit and life? Your words are life. When you plant those words on a seed, conception takes place. When you plant those words on the page and it's in the wrong time, in the wrong block, in the wrong season, on the wrong chapter, there's no conception. There's a miscarriage of words. There's good words and bad words. The good words, we ain't talking about cursing and all the other words that people say, oh, that's a bad word, that's a good word. Let me tell you what is a good word and a bad word. A bad word is a word that lands on the page in the wrong time, in the wrong place, and in the wrong season. It doesn't profit. It doesn't reward. A good word is a word that understands ovulation in pages. It understands the ovulation process and the timing, the sequential timing to how a message must land and how a story is told and how that story must fall with the reader and the balance of it. I was writing a book with an author. He was writing about the way we receive, process, and give birth to a baby to the way we receive, process, and give birth to destiny. In this analogy, you have high levels of medical research and information on miscarriages, miscarriages, DNA, having memory, how things are developed, information is exchanged in the first trimester, and why there's sickness and all those things that happen in the body when the ground is being tilled. Right? And then there's that spiritual element of it. There's that destiny. There's that internal sense of eternity in us. There's that hopefulness. There's that spiritual element. We are spirits. We live in a body and we have a soul. We're not bodies having spiritual experiences. If you take the spirit away from us, the body will remain. That tells you that you are a spirit and you live in a body. Your body is operated by your brain, but your spirit is functioning in your mind. And if a person is willing to pay for what's on your mind, you better make sure it better not be pennies. The day is over for counting pennies. We're no longer counting pennies for our thoughts. Now, our brain is limited to the earth realm. It is limited to what we see, but our mind is able to literally take us by the hand and journey to a place we never thought we'd go and keep us there far longer than we thought we'd stay. That's what the mind does. And that's why it's a profit to being able to transform, translate, and transfer, and even have an experience of translating what someone is thinking and putting it in a page and helping them move to the next stage as a ghostwriter, right? That's what I've been doing for over 20 years. And so when we look at who we are, when we look at what we're putting together and what we're doing, we're not writing books, we're building them. We're not opening a page. We are opening a canvas that is fertile, and the words are seed, and those words are pregnant with other words. We're not just writing, we're writing to birth. We're not just writing books anymore. We're building assets. So it is important that the words that you have that are falling on the page in the right place, in the right season, in the right time, so that they can produce what? After their own kind. When you understand the transformational value in your work, you will never write a book another day in your life. And if you also understand that word is capital, you'll never be broke another day in your life. So I want you to open up with me and explore the possibility that your words that you have are not only seed, but those seeds have every single thing they need living on the inside of them. You don't have to know the who, what, where, and how. When a baby goes into the mother's womb, we don't know how the legs are growing and how the body is forming in that womb. We just see her stomach expanding, but we don't see the details that goes in. Even a sonogram is very limited in what it can show. And when it comes forth and it's crowned and it comes forth a healthy baby, it doesn't look like what the father gave it, does it? He gave seed, but it brought forth life. Your words are seed. And when you put them on the page, there has to be conversion. There's a value to your work. And that value can be assets in your business and in your model. There was an artist who was a billionaire on Monday and a millionaire on Tuesday. How did it happen? And there was no money transfer. You know why it happened? Now maybe it wasn't a Monday and a Tuesday, but it was one day he was a billionaire. The next day he was a millionaire. The reason that happens is not because he had money in the bank. Cause see, your worth is not based on the value of a dollar. It is based on the asset of your intelligence. And so when your IP is evaluated as an asset, that's the thing that allows you to draw down, to liquidate. That was what tells you what your net worth is. It's not based on what's in the bank. It's based on what's bankable. And that's what the book banker method does. It walks you through the process and showing you how to elevate in your thinking and start thinking away from this consumer model and into the production model and owning your space in the sphere of influence where you live and where you have your being. Your words are not just for pieces of paper. That is not just a flip book that you own. That's a business plan. That's not just I just wrote a book and I hope somebody like it. I hope somebody sell it. Did you know that your book was worth more before you sell it? You didn't know that, but that's okay. Today you do, because your book is your asset and it's an asset in your business. And now when you invest money in building your business and building up your brand, it is now a business expense. And after the first year, you can use that as startup capital that you invested in your business and do what? Get it back. Did you also know that when the royalties come in that you created in your business that are to your business and not to you, that is now business income, and now you can invest that money back into your work, hiring an editor, hiring a team, hiring a publicist, hiring or whatever it is that you're trying to do, and build a producer for your podcast maybe, or whatever it is. And now it's a business expense. So now that $10,000 that you just got back in royalties that would have been taxed for your personal income is now a line item in a business expense. And now the money, the $7,000 that you just invested is now going back into your business to create more money. What? Increase, multiplication, acceleration. Now you're causing the seed to do what? Multiply, right? Now you're farming seeds. Now you're housing seeds. And now they're reproducing into courses, into workshops, into live events. All of this coming from the book as a model. Speaking engagements. You're getting paid $40,000 to speak for a book that only costs $12.95 because you understood the transformational value in the book. It went from $12 book or $19 book to a $40,000 speaking engagement. And after 40 minutes, you got done speaking and you made more in 40 minutes than you made in 40 years at one time, at least. Right? And so it's time to move away from this consumer model, from this consumption model, and stop eating your money and stop giving it away and stop giving people your mind for free. Stop giving people your mind. Stop telling them what's on your mind. Stop. I'm going to give you a piece of my mind. I'm not giving you anything, but I'll sell it to you. And that's the mindset that you have to come into if you're going to be an entrepreneur, if you're going to be a book banker, if you're going to own your intellectual property as an asset. You must understand that $3,000 difference from the $10,000 you earn is now the business cash flow, or coming into the business cash flow. And now you're taxed on the $3,000 and not the $10,000, and you're reinvesting in your business, not owing no one anything, not having to borrow anything. See, we have to come away from being the borrower and become the lender. We are lending our gift to many nations. We are not borrowers. We are lenders. We are the head and not the tail. We are above and never beneath. The time is over. The invoice is canceled. You are no longer paying people to bring your dream to pass. That thing is invertedly coming back into you, and you're walking away clearing more than 85% of the resources. So now when your book sells $1 million in net profit, you're not just walking away with $70,000. You're walking away with the whole thing. This has been the first broadcast of the Book Banker podcast. And if you believe that this thing has resonated with you, I want you to like it and I want you to enter in the comments, but I do not want you to share it. Listen, I'm not interested in the number of people who subscribe and follow me. I'm not after subscribers and followers. I'm after the number of transformed lives. If this resonated with you and you believe that there's someone else who you know for sure is ready to take the next level of thinking and ready to come on the journey with you through the process of getting through to the next 11 episodes, then I want you to share it, right? And so again, I'm not interested in how many people like, share, or heart this message or this podcast. I'm interested in the number of those people who experience transformation, and that's real. I promise you it is. And guess what else? It doesn't cost you anything to pay attention, but it could cost you everything if you don't. Have a great day.